What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about Jay Kelly. This is Netflix's Oscar hopeful. They just dropped on the service. I got the least amount of lead time with it. It was actually kind of useless because by the time I noticed it, it was like hours away from just being on Netflix. So sorry I didn't get this to you before. Uh, I didn't get much advance on it. So, it does have audio description. It's International Digital Center, written by Liz Gutton and narrated by someone new who I'm not familiar with, but I assume was hired for their ability to flip into some Italian, perhaps, because there's a little bit of Italian in here. So, that I thought it was a really lovely, dramatic audio description script. So done nicely. There's the nuances here to pick up are often in just things like how Jay colors his hair or um, capturing the beauty of a countryside in the background because half the film is him traipsing through Europe. So it's like a lot of little things. There aren't any major explosions or car chases or anything to describe here. So it's all in kind of these little moments and beats. But yeah, it's really well done and nicely written. So the film is directed by Noah Baumbach from a script written by Noah Baumbach and Emily Mortimer, which is interesting because his partner is Greta Gerwig. We all know this. Barbie. So he's changing it up, writing with other ladies, seeing what Emily Mortimer's got to offer, and putting her in coach. Yeah. It's an interesting film. It's written about somebody who is sort of an A-lister. Jay Kelly is a little bit past his prime, but he's still managing to bankroll movies and navigate out of a couple of duds maybe that he has in his career. And he's had a really long 35 years in Hollywood. So some critics of the film have noted that this might be perhaps not as impressive because it's Clooney being Clooney. I don't know what to do with that. It's the same thing with like Dwayne Johnson in The Smashing Machine. This isn't like flawed casting. This is appropriate casting. Who did you want in The Smashing Machine? Mikey Day? Like, what did. That's outside the box. It's brilliant. Who's gonna play Jay Kelly? I got an idea. Instead of having an A-lister, let's find somebody who's never done film before and will have no idea what it's like to be an A-lister and see if they can just emotionally grasp the concept. Um, so yeah, he benefits from emotionally grasping the concept of having been an A-lister and knowing, how to navigate all of this publicity and studio crap, and they throw him into being the role of a father also. He has an older daughter, Jess, played by Riley Keough from his first marriage, which obviously did not go well. And Riley has realized it a lot quicker than the younger daughter, and the whole film is basically about him chasing his younger daughter around Europe and then giving up and then trying to chase his, I don't know, life around Europe. I don't know. But yeah, his younger daughter is in in between her high school and college freshman year. Like she's graduated and she's off to Johns Hopkins or something like that. But she's taking a trip through France, and originally Dad wasn't supposed to be there, but he tracks her down and follows her around Europe, and has lots of crises of existential ideas along the way. A lot of them about being a father, but whether or not he was there. He keeps flashing back to Jess, and a lot of these conversations that he's had with her about different things and asking her different questions. Um, and, you know, some really biting stuff is in there. We'll get back to it. I might have some spoilers in here, although that's not really my goal, is to like tell you the end of the movie. Also, this is not The Sixth Sense. This is one of those movies that hinges upon the how does this end? Unless you're sitting there thinking like, oh my god, is Noah Baumbach going to kill Jake Kelly at the end of the movie? In which case, maybe there is a Sixth Sense ending to this film for you. I don't know. Stop finding the Sixth Sense endings and everything. It was one movie, man. Calm down. Um, so, Jay is accompanied along the way by his entourage, basically. I mean, he's got Adam Sandler plays his manager, Ron. Laura Dern plays his publicist. Um, Isla Fisher plays Mel, this girl that I think is his assistant, but I don't know. I couldn't really. I don't know what their jobs are. He just has a lot of people who like float around him. Um, we've also got Jim Broadbent is used in a flashback. He's lovely. He plays a character. I won't spoil it. It's not necessary. He's in here. Um, Patrick Wilson is here as another famous actor, but like slightly less famous than George Clooney, who is also repped by Adam Sandler. Uh, Greta Gerwig plays Sandler's wife, and his daughter plays his daughter. Because why not? One of them, Sunny or Sadie, I can't remember which one. One of them is in this movie. Um, Josh Hamilton is here playing a therapist. Um, who else is in this movie? Emily Mortimer, obviously. Eve Hewson plays an actress that Clooney is in a movie with. Briefly. I feel like there's somebody that I'm forgetting, and I'm just anyway. Sorry, I'm piecemealing stuff together of major names that you'd be interested to know were in this. So, um, he ends up sort of the goal is to get this like I don't know achievement award, lifetime achievement award at this festival down in Europe, and along the way he has to travel and maybe annoy his daughter, try to get in touch with her, and try to see if he can fix at least one daughter relationship. Um, and a lot of interesting things happen along the way. It's also a buddy comedy with Adam Sandler being elevated to near co-lead, but not like he doesn't have. I think Noah Baumbach struggles, and it was just tough with a 2 hour and 13 minute runtime that he struggles to fit everything in. But he does. He tries to fit in and shape out Sandler's character so that we have some understanding of his home life. So we have some understanding of the relationships he has outside of Clooney. And then also trying to establish his relationship and his rapport with Clooney. And because there's a lot of this sort of theme about whether or not he's actually a friend of Clooney's or just Clooney sees him as an employee. And he has this conversation with Laura Dern's character, and Dern's like, no, we're not friends to them. We do not mean to them what they mean to us. Giving them, because they're giving up so much of their lives, and yeah, they're getting paid for it, but they also, Sandler pretty much drops his family on a dime anytime a client needs him. So, and then he's trying to balance like two clients, and we learn how that goes. So even, how somebody perceives being, in the shadows, I guess you could say. So, yeah, he believes that because he's been with Clooney since the beginning that they're legitimate friends, and I think the film sort of struggles to answer the question of are they? Um, and I think through that is where I expected Baumbach's writing to come out a little bit more and push and pull because he's a very intelligent writer and to be able to show a lot more nuance in this friendship versus maybe the friendships of other people. Um, because I guess, sort of spoiler alert, he does kind of only end up with Adam Sandler. Like everybody else kind of gives up on him because he's kind of falling apart. He was supposed to do a movie and he might be in breach of contract. So like the rest of his team kind of starts uh going home like throughout the course of this European trip and giving up on him, including Laura Dern, who gives Adam Sandler one of his best moments. Sandler has two moments that are excellent, and neither of them with Clooney. One of them is with Laura Dern, and the other one is with Patrick Wilson, and those are his two best scenes, I think. His third might be hit them trying to again establish the fact that he's trying to be a committed family man and reading like this children's book to his son over like FaceTime. I thought that was cute. But yeah, he and Clooney don't really have much chemistry for a film that's supposed to be a buddy comedy about them. Jay Kelly is an interesting film because I liked it in spite of its flaws. It's a lot like After the Hunt, which was a film where I'm not going to tell you it's a perfect movie by any means, but I found it endlessly fascinating. And I found Jay Kelly to be fascinating too, even though I don't think Noah actually lands it. I don't think he actually completes one of his ideas. Um, and I've thought about it because I think it's an easy way, and I don't want to get in with the critics who are like, well, he doesn't solve the relationship with his daughters, therefore the movie fails. And it's like, maybe he can't. I mean, that's the easy way. And we can't always want the easy, most obvious thing. Yeah, the movie is largely about how he feels like he's failed his daughters. Um, and at the end of it, he's basically left with Ron. You know, like what's to show for it? His manager, his after 35 years, the guy that stood by him this whole time. So, um, I don't know that, we don't need to wrap that up. Every film doesn't need to have the happy ending and to solve the relationship. So he has a fractured relationship. He didn't fix it with Jess. Maybe he never can. Or maybe that's sort of that final moment where he's sitting there sort of watching life flash before his eyes. He comes to some sort of realization, and if there was a J. Kelly 2, he would know all of the things he's supposed to say to Jess, and he'd be willing to sit there in therapy and listen to the therapist cry. Um, Maybe all those things would actually happen for him. Maybe there's a suggestion, there's a little bit of a smile from his younger daughter the last time we see her. I forget her name. Um, and maybe that fixed it. I don't, he didn't need to give us the easy answer. I think he's established Jay Kelly's character and those stories well enough, but what he didn't establish well enough was Ron. I felt like Ron's a great character, but um it does always feel like it's his perspective because it never does feel like that they have an extra banter. I think what Noah failed to realize is that he had a golden opportunity by having all these other characters there, like Laura Dern and Isla Fisher and people like that. And he could have shown more of the uh, is there a difference between how he pals around with Sandler crossing the line that would allow Sandler to believe that he has more of a friendship that he doesn't do with the others. Maybe he does. Maybe they have inside jokes. Maybe there's something in there. It never feels like that. It does feel like Sandler's misreading the situation and is overplaying his hand, and that Clooney really could take him or leave him. Um, so in the big emotional moments where we're supposed to feel like these two I don't think Baumbach ever really established that part that well. That these two are And not for the lack of acting on these on their parts, there just isn't that moment between them until it's, fractured and can't be repaired. And you're like, "But what fractured?" It has a coldness to it that it has in a very similar scene that Sandler has with Patrick Wilson, who is underdeveloped specifically for that purpose. And yet we see how Sandler takes it. And there's a reason why Patrick Wilson's character is basically just like a two-scene wonder. Um, but I mean, Sandler spends like the whole movie with Clooney. Why don't they have a better rapport? Why don't they, like, Sandler should finish his sentences, Sandler should, I mean, there's so many other things. There are a couple of tropes that would have been nice for them to adapt here, for this to be a buddy road trip comedy, that sort of ends in this existential moment of, "Oh my god, the only thing that I have left in my life is." So I'm guessing the takeaway here is that Clooney has nobody because Ron's not even really his friend. The end. Because they didn't really change that, which is a weird takeaway for a film hoping to get a Best Picture nominee, that none of the dots really ever connect. But it's one of those films that looks good and feels good still somehow. Like it's not bad. It's not a bad movie, but at the same time, it's unfulfilling in parts. Like you don't necessarily get that like, oh, I get it. It's about that. I'm glad we I'm glad we hit that mark, or glad we solved that, or that character figured that out, or I don't know what they figured out. I don't know if they figured anything out. So it's an odd duck of a movie. It's not like After the Hunt for me, because again, After the Hunt, I'm not really sure what Luca was trying to say. But I appreciate that he was trying to say it because I kind of enjoyed After the Hunt and a lot of the wordplay, and there were a lot of performances in there, that I really enjoyed. And here, same thing. Um, I, I haven't yet talked about Billy Crudup. His character is probably mostly a spoiler. So, it's weird that like the spoiler is not really the end of the movie, because the end of the movie is just like the journey. It's uh, Jay Kelly has plotted like a road trip comedy from New York to LA, and like it would be like saying like finding out that the road trip comedy ends with them in LA, and you're like, oh my god, spoilers. It's like, well, it's a road trip comedy about going from New York to LA. I don't know what to tell you. Surprise, destination. Um, so I think Billy Crudup is sort of the wild card spoiler who works really nicely when he's introduced. I would watch out for his performance because it's exceptional. It's very small, and some people have tried to be like, "Oh, he'll get the Oscar nomination." It's like, man, he's close. He would be close. I could see it if the film came back around to him. But that's kind of the problem, is that they don't. The film never comes back. That would have been a nice loose end to tie up, but it leaves that also dangling off the edge of the building. I don't know. It's there, and this could all be intentional. I'm thinking out loud here. This is a huge review of Jay Kelly. So several times throughout the film, they comment on. He makes a joke how he's lonely. He's always alone or whatever. He's like, "Well, I'll be all alone," and his daughter will be like, "You're never alone, Dad." And then somebody like, it's sort of like the running joke in Naked Gun, where somebody just hands him a coffee all the time. One of his staffers will just like walk out of nowhere and like do something or hand him something, and he'll just sort of passively. He doesn't even realize that he's being handed like a drink. He'll just take the drink. Um, so I think maybe it is about the fact that he sacrificed like personal connection for his film career. I think that might be it. And if that's it, then Noah sold that 100%, because I don't think he's connected to anybody or anything by the end of the movie. So that film stars are lonely islands who are solely committed to their art and have to give up everything else in order to do it. Um, that would be my takeaway from Jay Kelly. So Noah, if you feel like that's what you wanted people to take away from, I think that's what you sold people, is that actors are incapable of maintaining any sort of um, deeper, meaningful relationships because they're so distracted by their work. There is a great line here about that I was like, I heard it and I was like, oh fuck, this movie's gonna be at the Oscars. There's a line in here about like we live our life through movies. I was like, that is gonna be in the Oscar clip that they play where they montage like the year's films together, and they're like, these are the year's best. And it's going to be George Clooney saying something like something like we live our life through movies. Um and I'm like, that's Academy bait. If this gets nominated for anything, that's gonna be right there. Spot on. Nail it. I mean, you couldn't have written that for better montage. George Clooney saying, I mean, Jesus. Anyway, uh, yeah, I think Jay Kelly is solid. It might be in my top 25 because even though my score is lower, I liked it more than my score is. My score sort of reflects the flaws in it a little bit, like with After the Hunt. Like I kind of like After the Hunt a little bit more than maybe than the score. I have to acknowledge the fact that I think it's flawed. Oscar potential. I don't think this is going to get Best Picture nomination. I don't think Netflix gets three. I think they'd be good to get two with Frankenstein and Train Dreams. I see this as their third film. I think this is going to do well for SAG because I think actors are going to look at this and be like, this speaks to me. This is my film. I could see this film getting ensemble actor, supporting actor, definitely at SAG. Um, and that wouldn't surprise me at all. It's so in tune. Billy Crudup could come along too. Like they could get double nominations. People would be like, "What happened to One Battle?" I'm like, "Dude, this is SAG. Have you seen Jay Kelly? It's basically screaming to the Screen Actors Guild, love me. I am you." Um, so I Sandler could get it. He could get the nomination. It's not as impressive as Uncut Gems, but it's a very subdued performance from him. But he's done this before. He's been doing this type of performance and stuff like Meyerowitz stories for also for Baumbach. So it's not like he's incapable of acting. I just think they're more comfortable nominating him as supporting. I think that's what it is. His chances increased because instead of nominating Adam Sandler for Best Actor, they'd be nominating him for Supporting Actor. So he gets in that way. And I think that might be how he slides in. Dern's just not in that much of the movie to get in. And Clooney, it depends. Like, are they going to get over was too close to George Clooney or not? So, um, but I did like Jay Kelly. And my grade is going to be an 8.6 out of 10. Uh, may seem high. I did like it a lot. But I did think about it a lot too. But that's not a bad thing. I watched so many movies where I'm just like, I don't think about it afterwards. I just go, what it was that? Waste of time. And just move on with my life. But yeah, I felt like I really wanted to dissect Jay Kelly. I'll probably watch it again. That's a good sign. Um, so check out Jay Kelly. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you guys on the other side.